UFC Mexico Moreno versus Erceg happens this Saturday. I'm going to go over my picks for the entire card, starting with the prelims, ending with the main event. Yeah, UFC Mexico, once again. We're going to get it done. So let's get straight into it. Markel Maderos versus Austin Hubbard. Austin Hubbard is the white bread of MMA, if that makes any sense at all. I think that he is just so unbelievably basic and straightforward. If you look at his losses, he's lost to Kurt Holloway by submit. He got submitted by Kurt Holloway. He lost to Alexander Hernandez, which those two actually fought. I think was that last week? But he hasn't fought anybody good. I just don't trust him. I've never had a performance that I've seen Austin Hubbard where I've been impressed. I just don't think he's very impressive. And Medeiros on the Contender Series looked really good. From what I remember, he knee KO'd somebody, didn't he? I didn't do too much research on this because I just saw Austin Hubbard and was like, yeah, he knocked out Isa Oskakov in the first round with a knee. I'll take that. There was a couple years ago. The fact that all of these other fights have been canceled since he's had two fights that have been canceled. Had a little bit of time off, which I don't necessarily like, but it's Austin Hubbard, you know? He's not very athletic. He doesn't have a ton behind his shots. His grappling's very subpar. We're gonna take Markel Maderos. I think he either gets an early finish or he just takes a 29-28 decision. Next up, Jamal Emmers versus Gabriel Miranda. This is the first fight on the card where elevation plays a role, because that's going to play a huge role. It always does in these UFC Mexico cards. Hence why, if you look back at all the other UFC Mexico cards, usually the people who train out of Mexico and they have an elevation, like their gym is at elevation, they win. That's how it goes. We're going to see a lot of people gas out. Jamal Emmers trains at elevation. Not a lot, because I think the arena that they're fighting at on Saturday is 7,400 feet above sea level. It's the highest that there is for the UFC. Jamal Emmers fights it. I think he trains at about 2,000 feet from what I remember when I was researching this. Gabriel Miranda trains at sea level, and that's not good. Not to mention Jamal Emmers, he has some even his last, not his last loss, because his last loss he lost to Nate Landwehr. He took Jack Jenkins to a split decision. Jack Jenkins is I rate him pretty highly as a prospect, and he took him to a SD. Jamal Emmers is not that bad. Gabriel Miranda he's been finished. He got finished in September, by Morgan Charrier, bad, from what I remember. The finishing ability is not necessarily there as much for Jamal Emmers, but Gabriel Miranda gets hurt decently often. I think Jamal Emmers is going to be the more powerful dude. Minus 218, that sounds about right to me. We're going to take Jamal Emmers. Next up, Rafa Garcia versus Vince from Hell Pichel, baby. All right, yeah. No, he's 42 years old. Can we stop with this? From Hell, no. Vince from Hell Pichel. Get the out of here. 480 minus 45 is a little bit crazy, I'm not gonna lie. I'm taking Rafa Garcia. People are basing, I guess they're not, because it's minus 45. I was gonna say people are basing this matchup being kind of close, from what I've read at least, because of Rafa Garcia's last fight, which was against Grant Dawson, and he got finished in the second round. He was just getting mauled. But Grant Dawson's not bad. Is he ranked? He might be ranked right now. If he's not, he was at one point. I know he was when he fought Bobby Green. I think that Rafa Garcia is pretty well rounded, and he's got a gas tank on him. The fact that you can take Clay Guida to a decision, while Clay Guida is kind of a cardio warrior, full speed ahead, dive at your legs for 15 straight minutes, and throw overhands into your entries. It's kind of what he does. And he just worked Clay Guida for 3 rounds. Granted, Clay Guida's 552 years old, still. That holds a little bit of value, being able to stretch that out and beat him by the distance. And Vince Pichel's 42 years old, dude. That is not good. I'm just gonna base it off of that, because Vince has definitely slowed down. He looked like shit against the Bonfim brother, whichever one that was. I think it's Ishmael is the lighter one. Am I right about this? Yeah, it's Ishmael Bonfim. Bonfim took him to a decision, that's not necessarily the style that the Bonfim brothers have. They have a very pressing, heavy finishing style. How do you just get worked? I don't know. And then before that, he lost to Mark Madsen. We thought Mark Madsen was good. Turned out he wasn't, because Jared Gordon just kicked the shit out of him. Grant Dawson kicked the shit out of him. It's just not very, it's just not an impressive 2-fight run. He's fought twice in the last 3 years. And he's 42. Like, you're out of time already, bro. Like, what are you doing? Like, we're taking Rafa Garcia. I've been talking about this fight for too long. Decently confident about it. Next up, Lupe Godinez versus Julia Palastri. This is the biggest or second biggest discrepancy in elevation for where these girls train at. Lupe Godinez, she trains at about 5,000 feet, and Julia Palastri fights at sea level. And Lupe Godinez is, her style is being a cardio warrior. Minus 180 is really good odds for this, I think. I don't see how, like, it's just, she's a volume. She's a volume fighter. And if they're fighting at 7,500 feet, like, that's not going to go well if you can't put her away. Not to mention, Julia Palastri's last fight wasn't very impressive. It was a split decision, if I remember right. It wasn't like something to write home about. And now we're just jumping up the rankings, nearing the top 10. Lupe Godinez? Like, really? Honestly, I think this is almost kind of a layup that the UFC is giving Lupe. She has the elevation advantage. She has a volume advantage. If Julia Palastri doesn't choke you out in the first round or two, I think it's going to be wraps. I think it's going to go 30-27 to Lupe Godinez. Or maybe 29-28. Maybe the first round, Julia gets her back. And by the end of the first round, it's like, oh, wow, what a dominant performance so far from Palastri. The second and third round go on, and Julia Palastri's just sucking air, gassed. That's how I see it. Again, so many people are going to gas out. It happens every year, and no one says anything beforehand. It's going to happen. Lupe Godinez, 30-27. Next up, Melquizael Costa versus Christian Rodriguez. I went against Melky in his last fight because I said that he's a 50-50 fighter. He'll win 2, lose 1, win another, and then he'll lose 3, and then by the end of his career he's just going to be 500. That's just how it's going to be. So I was like, I'll take a chance, and I think Andre Fili will just put a pace on him, and then he just stuck his head in a guillotine and got choked out. Christian Rodriguez he's good, dude. Fight is gross. I don't want to do this. He's not like a powerful dude, though, which I think is the way that you defeat Melquizael Costa. Because if you go to the ground, I think he's just more slick than most guys outside of the rankings. He throws up subs like no one's business. Hence, Andre Fili getting choked out, and who was it before that? Fought some Chinese dude, I think. And he choked him out in, it was like the second round or something. I could be wrong about that. I think the way that you beat Melky's by limiting grappling exchanges and working on the feet and being powerful and putting them away. Melquizael also does have an advantage in where he trains at. He trains at elevation. Also, people are probably going to say like, oh, but like they probably, like some people are going to the UFC PI for like half their training camp to get used to a little bit of elevation. That's not the same as like you going to the PI for like 3-4 weeks to get used to the elevation. That's not the same as Lupe Godinez training up on a mountain for her whole life. Like, she's used to it, especially like it's the circumstances of being in an actual fight. It's just different than training. I don't think that holds value of saying that they went to, the PI. It just doesn't mean anything to me. Anyways, I'm going to take Melquizael Costa. I think that Christian Rodriguez just isn't powerful enough, to be honest with you. And he's good on the ground. He has finishes on the ground, but he is a little bit of a decision merchant. And I think Melquizael Costa is a more slick grappler, so to say. Which is crazy to say because Christian Rodriguez is a good grappler, but I just think that the submission threat of Melky's good. I'm going to take him by sub. I don't know when, but I think he gets a sub. Not crazy confident. We're going to take an underdog here, but yeah. Next up, we've got Jose Medina versus Ateba Gautier. I fucking hate Jose Medina so much, dude, because his last fight was, I think it was his debut. He fought Zachary Reese, and Zachary Reese was beating the brakes off of him the whole fight. And this fucking guy is like signaling to the crowd, like taunting. And I was like, dude, like, this guy. This guy's retarded. But Zachary Reese was hitting him with hard shots, and he wasn't going out, which is kind of scaring me for this fight because he trains at altitude and Gautier doesn't, which is not good. I don't like this guy. I don't like Jose Medina at all, just solely off of that last fight against Zachary Reese. Gautier is such a powerful dude. I think he's more powerful than Zachary Reese, and he's super athletic and fast. But if you look at Gautier's performance on the Contender Series, I forget who he fought. I think he fought, it was some guy from Asia, I think. But I remember watching that he hit the dude with an uppercut or something, and he put him down. But he just gassed himself out and just like laid there because he got tired. It was like the first or second round. That's not good. Especially when you're fighting against, like I said, against Zachary Reese. He was getting the piss beat out of him, and he wouldn't go out, and he was still walking forward the whole time, and he trains at altitude. So after saying all of this, I think Jose Medina loses. I think Gautier wins. I think it's going to be a TKO in the first or second round, but do not be surprised at all, especially with all the underdogs that have won as of recent. So many, like not even just like small underdogs, like huge underdogs have been winning. If any underdog is going to win on this card, it's going to be Jose Medina. Let me preface that. Just saying. Anyways, I'm taking Gautier. Minus 450 is so unbelievably psychotic to me. I don't know how that's like, I don't know what people are watching, because I've watched all the fights from these guys that like on this stage, on the UFC stage at least, and everything to me is pointing to Medina is gonna just gas him out and win a decision or something and just outwork him. But I don't know. I have to take Gautier because he did look really good on the Contender Series before just getting tired. This is a gross fight, dude. I think Gautier is just way too powerful. I think he's way too powerful. Zachary Reese is a powerful dude as well, but Medina gets hit a lot. And I think if Gautier lands one, it's just going to be... He's not going to go out, but he'll like go down and fall back on his back and let Gautier into his guard, and I think he just gets ground and pounded. I think that's how it's going to go. Next fight, we've got Edgar Chairez versus CJ Vergara. Dude, CJ Vergara is fun to watch, dude. He never has a boring fight. This is another gross fight. I don't want to pick this. I don't want to pick a winner for this. Edgar Chairez he got worked by Joshua Van, huh? CJ Vergara, dude. He's so fun to watch. Like, even if he loses this, he'll be 3-5 in the UFC. They'll probably still sign him back because he's just fun to watch. Like, he just goes through wars. And his last two fights were to guys who were solid, like Ramazan Temirov, Asu Almabayev. Those are two really good. Are they both from Kazakhstan? Am I right about that? Oh no, he's from Uzbekistan. Okay. And then before that, his two losses were to Ode Osborne and Tatsuro Taira. High level guys. I'm taking CJ Vergara, dude. I just like him too much. He's fun to watch, dude. I'm gonna take an underdog. I'm taking an underdog. This is pissing me off looking at this because this is like way too close to call for me, honestly. And it's going to be a war because it's a CJ Vergara fight. And when you're picking winners in a CJ Vergara fight, good luck. You don't know what the is going to happen. We'll take CJ Vergara by split decision because I think that they both just land bombs the whole time and no one's going to go out though. I think it'll go to a split decision. I think it'll be close. Next up, Ronaldo Rodriguez versus Kevin Borjas. Ronaldo Rodriguez is good, dude. Isn't he young too? Yeah, he's 25. Didn't he just work Ode Osborne for 3 straight rounds in that fight? Yeah. He did. Yeah, he fought on the Noche card and just worked Ode Osborne. Dude, he's a really good grappler. Like, he snatched a guillotine, I remember, on what is that promotion? I've seen clips of him. He snatched a guillotine at one point. I've seen him finish rear naked chokes. Kevin Borjas doesn't impress me as much. I just think he's not athletic enough. He's not athletic enough for bantamweight, or it's flyweight, isn't it? He's not athletic enough. He's not quick enough, I don't think. Both of his fights in the UFC, he's looked like shit. He's just gotten the piss beaten out of him. He fought Joshua Van, and then he got choked out in his next fight. And he hasn't fought in almost a year now. Ronaldo Rodriguez is really good, dude. And he's athletic. He's quick. Yeah, we're going to take Ronaldo Rodriguez. I think he gets it done. I think he subs him. I think he subs him in the first or second round. Not to mention, I'm pretty sure he does have a elevation advantage. We'll go Ronaldo Rodriguez by first or second round submission. Next up, David Martinez versus Simon Oliveira. This is probably the biggest lock I have on the card. I think David Martinez is going to beat the piss out of Simon Oliveira. David Martinez fights at 70. He trains at 7,400 feet. Simon Oliveira trains at sea level. Like, that's the biggest discrepancy on the entire card in terms of training location. David Martinez looked really good on, what was it, the Contender Series. I don't think he got a finish, but he looked solid because he fought he fought a dude who was pretty athletic. He worked him for 3 rounds. And David Martinez is powerful. He lands some bombs sometimes. I think that he'll mix in head kicks, keep pressure on Oliveira, and I think Oliveira is going to gas. And I think that's going to be the difference. Not to mention, if you look through Simon Oliveira's fight history, he hasn't won in the UFC yet. He hasn't fought in 2 years. It's been over 2 years since he was in the cage. And now he's walking into like severe, like, David Martinez is the home guy. Like, this is where he trains and fights out of. And you're just walking into a hostile environment after almost over 2 years off at 7,500 feet above sea level against a dude who's just going to walk you down and try and put you away quick. Wrap it up. I think David Martinez wins this easily. I think he gets it done. It's either going to be he finishes him late. There's so many different ways he can win this. He can win early. He can win late. He can win by decision. Take your pick there, I guess. Next up, Raul Rosas Jr. versus Vince Morales. This is a big test for Raul because Vince Morales looked actually decent. He lost his last fight, but he looked decent because Elijah Smith is really good. He was making his debut. If I remember right, he almost subbed Elijah Smith like 2 or 3 times with a guillotine or something, or a dart. He was jumping darces is what it was. He kept jumping a darce just over and over and over, and he almost got it like twice. I just think Raul Rosas, he comes out too fast, too quick. He's like literally like he immediately, when the fight starts, he's just tries to get a body lock, take you down and choke you out. Just bop, 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 bop. And I don't know how that's going to do for Morales. I think Raul's going to close the distance, get a body lock, shoot a double leg or something. Morales is going to jump a guillotine or something, or a darce, as he did in the Elijah Smith fight many times. We'll be like, oh, hold on a minute, that might be in. It's not going to be. Raul's going to get his head out, work past it into half guard, side control. He'll find his back somehow, and I think he chokes him out in the first round. But if that doesn't happen, I think Vince Morales he's just way more experienced than Raul is, and Raul has gassed before because he just tries to kill you immediately, like right when the fight starts. If he doesn't finish him early, Vince is going to beat him. I'm not crazy confident about this just because Vince Morales is a really good grappler. Not a really good grappler. He's a decent grappler offensively. Off of his back, he throws up subs. I'll take Raul Rosas. I think he's going to get a first round finish. If he doesn't get the first round finish and it goes into the second and third round, I think we chalk it up for Raul as a loss. So next up, we've got Kelvin Gastelum versus Joe Pyfer. Kelvin Gastelum needs to fucking wrap it up, man. He's out of shape. He's always out of shape. He beat Daniel Rodriguez in his last fight. He missed weight for it, if I remember right. He's just not, I don't think he's good, especially against a guy who is going to shut your lights off. He shuts people's lights off. The Daniel Rodriguez fight, I never thought Daniel Rodriguez was good. I don't know about you guys, but people look at that fight and they're like, wow, great job by Kelvin. He's back on the horse. And it's like, is he? Is he? Because Daniel Rodriguez sucks. Why are we giving Kelvin like all this credit? Like, I don't get it. And Joe Pyfer is just so powerful, dude. I think it's going to be a early TKO. I think he lands a bomb that wobbles Kelvin. Kelvin starts doing like a stanky leg type of thing, gets up against the cage. They enter like a clinch exchange or something, and Joe lands 1 or 2 more, puts him down. He like curls up into a ball. He's not out, but he's like clearly hurt, and then the ref steps in, and it's going to be one of those. We saw when Joe Pyfer fought Jack Hermanson, his problem was coming out too quick and too hot and trying to just kill you immediately. And then against Barrios, the fight didn't last long, but like in the first 30 seconds, it was like, whoa, he's like slowed down and he's looking to just find his rhythm. He found it quick because clearly he put Barrios face down, ass up. Just, yeah, man, I think it's going to be an early TKO here for Pyfer. I think Kelvin's too slow. He's too short. I don't think Kelvin Gastelum's good anymore. I think he's just a filler for a main card now because of the name, because, oh, he's the guy who fought Izzy or whatever. I don't know. Next up, Manuel Torres versus Drew Dober. I think from a technical standpoint, Manuel Torres is better, especially in well-roundedness. He's a better grappler than Drew Dober is. He's quicker. He's longer. He gets in and out of combinations better. But Drew Dober fights at elevation, and Manuel Torres doesn't. And it hasn't been a thing as of recent, but racially motivated Drew Dober is a thing. Just want to put it out there. That's not something that I'm agreeing with or anything, but that is off of historical evidence. Racially motivated Drew Dober is a thing, guys. It's split odds too, dude. Drew Dober's chin has been cracked. He's getting a little bit older, but like when he fought Gene Silva didn't really put him out. It was a TKO, or was it a doctor? It was a doctor stoppage. Like Gene Silva couldn't even put him out, dude. Like his chin's still good. Based off of circumstances of this fight, I'm just gonna go with Drew Dober. I'm not confident in this at all because I do think that Manuel Torres is just the better fighter, period. He's a better grappler. He's just a better technical striker. He's a better finisher. If Manuel Torres does win this, it needs to be in the first round. He needs to put Dober out in the first round, which very well could happen. Do not be surprised if that happens. But if it gets past the first round, again, elevation change. Drew Dober fights out of Colorado at 5,200 feet. Manuel Torres fights at sea level. Taking Drew Dober, a racially motivated Drew Dober. We'll do it. Next up, main event time. Steve Erceg versus Brandon Moreno. Steve Erceg isn't all that, man. I thought he was when he hit that. He landed that big check left hook against Matt Schnell. Was that disgusting KO? I was like, holy shit. This guy's nasty. And then they gave him a title shot, and he fought Pantoja really well. Arguably won. And then he just got flatline KO'd by Kai. I think Brandon Moreno is just too technical, and he's a better grappler than Steve Erceg is. He's quicker. He has more experience at the top of this division. Whereas Steve Erceg, he just went from Matt Schnell, and then the two guys that he's fought up at the top of the division, he can't get through them. I just don't think he's that as good as everyone thinks. Not to mention, people look at Steve Erceg like he's this, he's the young guy who could win a title or whatever. He's not young. Like he only has like 9-10 fights on his record, or that's not true. Like 10 or 15, but like he's 36, bro. Brandon Moreno is you'd probably expect Brandon Moreno to be older, but he's it's not even close. And Brandon Moreno looked really good against Amir Alzabi or whatever. He looked good. He looked really good. I just think Steve Erceg might be taking I think the turnaround, especially after getting KO'd like pretty bad. He's not even taking a full year off. He's taking like how many months is this? He's taking like 6 months ish off after getting brutally finished with an overhand. Like, we're gonna go with Brandon Moreno. I like Steve Erceg. I think he's really fun to watch. I think he's a cool dude, but it's Brandon Moreno. I can't go against him. I think the boxing is going to be a huge thing too. Like, the reason we saw Steve Erceg have success against Pantoja is because of his Pantoja gets hit really easily, but he has a granite chin. And Pantoja lands a lot, but he doesn't have finishing ability on the feet. Brandon Moreno's really defensively responsible. Like, very, very, like, his boxing is crisp. Really, really crisp. He always has a hand guarding the opposite side when he's attacking. Or if he gets in too close, he knows where to weave, where to exit. Pantoja doesn't really do that. He kind of just eats shots and because he knows he can't get put out, and enters exchanges and gets really close to try and take you down, which happened, when he fought Erceg. But anyways, I'm rambling on. I think Brandon Moreno gets it done. I think he gets it done by decision. I don't know if he puts Erceg out. If he does, it's going to be, I don't think he puts Erceg out. I don't think he has enough power in his hands, because I think the hardest puncher at flyweight is probably Kai. Like, if we're being honest, like, it's either Kai or like Almabayev, Manel Kopp. Kopp's not really powerful, but like no one's really crazy powerful at 25. Probably Kai is the most powerful dude. I don't think Moreno's as powerful as Kai is. I don't think he's going to be able to put Erceg away. If he does, it's going to be in a flurry, and Erceg's just not going to be able to. He's just going to curl up and get TKO'd on the fence. I don't think that happens. I think Moreno gets it done by. It'll be a super fun fight to watch. I'm so stoked for this. Holy crap. 49-46. 48-47 maybe. Maybe Erceg lands a big one, splits Moreno open below the eye. He wins the round based off of damage-based scoring, which they haven't been doing recently for whatever reason because the judges are retarded. 49-46, Brandon Moreno. I think he gets it done. Great card. Great card. I'm stoked for this. Hopefully we see a lot of finishes because the UFC London card was absolutely terrible. Thanks for watching. Per usual. Like and subscribe. 99% of you aren't. Got more videos coming out all the time though. So appreciate you guys. See you in the next one.